Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm not reacting, but reviewing season 4, episode 7 of The Boys. Alright, so let's start with Ashley. So, in this episode, Ashley is chronically drinking because of the fact that she got her ex killed. You can see her starting to actually regret her life choices. And her guilt is finally starting to catch up to her a little bit. Like, she knew that she should have done something about him when he broke up with her, but she didn't want him to die. Like, I think in the moment she actually liked it because she's getting revenge, but when she kind of sobered up from that adrenaline rush, she realized that there was no point in doing that. He was an innocent person. It was just a breakup. She probably got over it after a while. There was no point of actually getting him killed, especially when they didn't even find the real mole, and she knows it's A-Train. But she knows it's A-Train, and she associated herself with him. So now she's gonna have a lot of regret based on that front end, and now she's fearing Homelander even more because he's starting to get a little bit more unstable, just like last season. Eventually, during the end of the episode, she does have a chance to leave with A-Train, and she refuses. And I think this is because of what she said, based on what she said about her assistant Gregory, and how she said, "I fired him to get him away from this place." Because it's so easy to become a monster here. I think what her plan is secretly is that she wants to probably save the rest of the employees as many as she can because she probably feels guilty because she brought them to VOT and now they're kind of like unintentionally attached to this sociopath Homelander in a way that like if they try to leave he might kill them because now he's starting to go to his end game. He's starting to actually be emboldened to rebel against the government. And he's already killed her. I'm just gonna say her ex because I don't really remember his name. He's like a news channel guy. She already killed an official like him who was on their side. So at this point, anyone's up for grabs. I think he's gonna save Ashley for last. I hope she doesn't die in a pathetic way. I hope she doesn't die at all. But it's the boys, and you can't have hope when you're watching a show. Huey has taught us that multiple times. I really hope she can save as many as the employees as she can before she does die. That way, at least she can go down as a hero, even though she's not like I don't know, be a hero for once instead of just luring people in and lying, deceiving them. Because she's right, her hands are not completely clean. She has done her fair share of sinning in this company, especially as like a global conglomerate company like Disney or like well, I shouldn't say Disney, but you know what I mean. Like she's on that level and she's a CEO essentially. So she has had her hands dirty at least a couple times. She's not innocent, as posed to us in episode 6 when she assaulted Huey. Now, granted, she didn't know that it was Huey. She thought that he was a consenting adult. I mean, she tried cannibalism. She said it herself. So I don't put SA above her to be honest. But yeah, I'm conflicted about this character just because I don't really know. She's a very morally gray character, so you don't really know what she's gonna do. You don't know if she really deserves redemption or not. So who's to say? Next up is Ryan. Now Ryan does have some character arc issues in this episode. I think it's like not issues, but more so like reservations with Homelander as a parental figure because he's starting to realize that Homelander doesn't really he's not a truthful person. I know Homelander likes everyone to tell the truth, but Homelander doesn't even know what the truth is for himself. He doesn't know where Ryan is positioned in his life because he is his son, but at the same time, Homelander is a narcissist and he does put himself above anyone else, including his son, as shown in this episode. I think the reason for that being is because I think Firecracker kind of accidentally got in the way of his relationship with his son because with season 1 with not Mallory, but what's it called? Was it Mallory? What was her name? She died in season 1, like the last episode of season 1. She was breastfeeding like Homelander or whatever. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is the same way that the situation with that versus now is that Homelander does have a son. So this is so effed up to say, but I honestly think that he has to be in the conflict of choosing his fetish over his child. Primarily speaking, I don't know what it is. I think it's just mostly his trauma and how he wants a mother figure so bad to the point where he'll look for anyone who's willing to give it to him. He doesn't care what their character is or morality status is. If you even come close to fitting that role, especially when Firecracker breastfeeds him, he's gonna like submit to that person or have that person in a higher favor than anyone else in his life, including Ryan. And he's starting to see this. I mean, he doesn't know that this is what's happening, that what he's doing with Firecracker. He just knows that he's losing favor with Homelander for whatever reason. He's kind of like brushing him off like he's nobody. Especially when his son really needs him the most. And he's doing this commercial, this propaganda commercial, which he doesn't really feel comfortable doing, especially on live television, because it's not what he believes. And the reason why I would think Homelander would at least understand where he's coming from is because with Stormfront, at least, he when she was kind of spitting her like Nazi propaganda, also Homelander kind of cringed a little bit. Like he didn't believe everything that she was saying, and he thought that what she was saying was BS. So it just didn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for him to be too mad. But then it's like listening further into the show, you realize that Ryan accidentally, exposed his mother's husband Billy, instead of, because you know how Homelander's demographic is, Christian rural America. So kind of based on those morals, you're kind of implying by saying that Billy's her husband, that he basically was a homewrecker, got her pregnant, and then left her husband. Like, you can fabricate as many lies as you want with that. There's not really any room for sanity when you're making that comment. It's not even slander, because Homelander is a piece of shit, but like the world doesn't know that yet in this moment. And you can see Homelander's face while he's reacting to his son standing up for himself at the end of the episode. Like, wow, can't believe he really did that. That hurt me. You can see the look of hurt and a little bit of betrayal in his eyes. And at this point, he looks emotionally exhausted because he just realized that someone on the team just betrayed him. So he's also worrying about that too. So I know this is just going to be based on Ryan. I guess I'm just going to put Homelander in that category as well. And next is A Train. He talks to Mother's Milk because he goes from being anxious to being confident in what he's doing enough to fully betray Homelander at this point. Um, he gets his family away from danger. Like, I guess this whole episode's about family and trying to protect them, and also recognizing that the family within the boys, how they try to get together and try to protect each other, try to support each other, even though the world's crashing around them every 2 seconds. He talks to MM. They have a real talk to talk. He tells MM that you think this stuff isn't coming to believe. You think this is not going to be a worldwide thing. Like, you can't protect them forever. Like, yeah, you can send your family away, but you can't protect them from what's coming. So unless you are planning to deal with this issue and save the world, there's no point of moving them to a different country. It's going to come for them eventually. There's nowhere to run from Homelander. He's not wrong. He also tries to talk to Ashley, tries to support her a little bit by giving her tough love, because he sees that she's fumbling from the seams at this point, and that if she can't afford to be blackout drunk at 11 a.m. in the morning, because she's a CEO, and if she goes too long, she will, if she's inebriated for too long in the office, she will end up exposing A Train and getting both of them in trouble, because she kind of has a big mouth as for a CEO. She's able to keep secrets, but when she's sober, when she's drunk, scared, and panicking, that's a different story. Then we go on to the fact that he betrays the Seven by tries to kick the Deep's ass, fights Noir in the Deep at the boys' headquarters, and saves Starlight apparently, because her powers still haven't kicked in yet. Then Mother Milk comes in. I think they came in at the same time. I'm not sure. I have to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure it's A Train that hit the Deep first before Mother Milk attacked Noir. So I actually did like to see that fight scene. That was a pretty cool setup. Wasn't too overwhelming. Wasn't too much at once. It's the perfect dose of a fight scene. And the length of it was like a good 10 minutes, so it wasn't that bad. Yeah, but then he tries to save Ashley towards the end of the episode, and she says, "I can't." And he's like, "You know what? Suit yourself." But as he's about to like leave her, and when he turns around and she asks him, "Can you take your chip out before you go? Because that way we won't be able to track." And then he kind of turns right back around. He starts to realize that Ashley's not that bad of a person, because she's actually trying to look her out for these people as best as she can. You see this with I made a YouTube short about this with Starlight in the last season, and she did the same thing with Starlight. Well, not really the same thing with Starlight. It's more like she was about to come clean and tell her where Maeve was, but then she realized that she's under security cameras, and that Homelander could probably hear her, so she didn't want to get in trouble. So she's like, "I'm the goddamn CEO. You book an appointment next time," and try to just snuff her off. But she was about to break. She was about to break, and this is like a long time character arc for Ashley and A Train, both of them. Like, you can go as far as season 1 with A Train. Like, he really did not f with any of them. He was a junkie for a reason. He was shooting a V for a reason, because Homelander body shames the crap out of him, saying that you're not fast enough or you're not thin enough. He's been doing that since season 1. Um, but yeah, and you also see how she does it with Queen Maeve. When she found out that Queen Maeve was alive, she deleted the footage. She's trying to get people out here, out of this company as fast as possible, without Homelander being aware of it. She's actually very masterful at that. She's actually willing to play the long game, even if it is detrimental. Next is Starlight. Starlight still doesn't have any powers. I'm kind of getting sick of this arc where she doesn't have any powers. Um, she better get this episode. If not, then I don't want it to be a permanent thing because then it kind of just destroys the character as a whole. Because I'm getting sick of her being nerfed the entire time, and she's not even getting close to getting her powers back. I thought she was gonna go through this character arc, but it seems like they're not really doing much with it. They're focusing on too many characters. Alright, so it opens up with her trying to get her mom to escape and go elsewhere. Like I said, this whole episode is about family and trying to protect them. I think this whole season was basically trying to expand the world of the boys and trying to make them seem more emotionally attached to the world around them, a little bit more grounded, a little bit more, have a little bit more depth than the usual seasons. I can understand people's grievances with the season. It depends on what you came to watch. Essentially, if people are more, this is an action show, so there's supposed to be more fighting. So I can understand people are not here for the emotions and the soppy mess. But I think it is a good thing because it will really pay off in season 5. But people don't really have patience to see how things are going to play out. Ever since Game of Thrones, they just don't have the patience anymore. Anyway, she goes with Huey and Butcher to steal assassination plans to find and finds a soup in the closet. Says that she's was beaten up or they killed her husband, whatever. Obviously, she's lying. She goes as soon as she grabs Starlight to get her up. She looks at Huey, makes a run for it, slices Hugh's hand for some reason. Um, I feel like he could just knocked him out the way. I don't know. I don't know. I thought it had some significance, apparently not. And then they go through this like little chase scene where she it turns out to be a shapeshifter, looks into someone's eyes, takes their appearance, and rips her skin off. Really gory, kind of made my stomach turn a little bit seeing it. But had to be super painful as a suit to do that. Then she gets into a fight with the Deep at the headquarters, almost loses. She holds her own. I think Annie is pretty powerful as a soup in terms of strength. She was able to hold her own against the Deep, even though the Deep is slightly stronger than her. If she had her power, she would definitely be able to knock him out very easily. Like, it wouldn't be a challenge for her. It's just that she doesn't. Um, she might be able to go toe to toe with Noir if she had her powers. Probably. I mean, she did try to attempt to. Yeah, honestly, I feel like at this point, Noir is not bottom tier because he's a new Noir or whatever. But I don't think he's top tier either. I think he's kind of nerfed too as a character just because of his narcolepsy. Um, but yeah, she gets kidnapped towards the end of the episode. Apparently, the girl who was trying to take a selfie with her tries to kidnap her, put her in this. I guess it's like a house or a basement or something like that. Get her chained up with some like extremely strong metal because, like I said, Starlight has super strength, so she doesn't really. I mean, I thought it would be like no biggie to break out of those chains, but apparently it must be made from like a really strong metal alloy. But yeah, then the episode ends there. So hopefully she gets her powers by the end of the not the end, but by the beginning of next episode or like in the middle. But like hopefully not the end. Hopefully I don't have to wait to the end for her to get her powers. But next up is Huey. Huey doesn't do much in this episode really. It's just kind of like he's like a filler character in this episode. He gets cut by the soup. He talks to Newman, tries to get her to back down. Apparently Newman didn't know about the internment camps. So, but she seems like she's trying to compartmentalize her feelings a lot about all of this. I feel like she's thinking in the sense of, for the sake of my daughter, I'm willing to do anything. I just have to tough it out and see where this leads me. I think she's going to be surprised at where it gets her. It's going to get her not in a better position, but probably in a worse position because now you're closer to Homelander, who is more mentally unstable than ever. Might even get killed next episode. I'm not sure. Yeah, and that doesn't work. Huey goes back to the apartment, and then he has sex with this shapeshifter, which pretends to be Starlight. Even like her mannerisms as Starlight was like a little bit more glittery. It kind of reminded me of the Starlight from season 1. It's not the Starlight you know now, but it was enough to convince Huey. So it works for you, it works for me. Anyway, sleepy. MM tries to get his family to escape just like everyone else. Talks to A Train, like I said. He fights the Deep in Noir. He comes in after A Train starts fighting the Deep. And right before Noir kills Butcher, he hits him with a minigun until he gets narcoleptic again, falls asleep, and crashes out of the window. Oh man, that fight scene, like the entire neighborhood must have been like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why do I hear a machine gun, a shotgun, and just like holes being punched left and right? Crazy. Good fight scene. But Yeah, and then towards the end of the episode, he tells his wife that he's staying to fight Homelander and trying to fight for their future. He couldn't really describe much to his wife. Kind of left her on a cliffhanger a little bit, like, okay, well, maybe they'll survive, maybe they won't survive. I'm pretty sure the family survives. I'm pretty sure MM. I hope MM doesn't die because I feel like he does have some type of character arc building for himself. I feel like that guy has way too much character development to be killed off so easily. If anything, it's a deep, but who knows? Next is Butcher. He comes clean about the virus and asks the other boys for help. He fights Noir in the deep later in the episode. Like I said, with the shotgun. I think he lasts. I feel like if Noir just like blitzed him, he would have like killed Butcher really fast. I don't know why he kind of like bide his time as much as possible. Cause like you're bulletproof. Like your shotgun probably doesn't hurt you that much. You can just run through it and just. Hey, that's just me. I guess you have to stretch out the fight scene a little bit longer, make it look a little bit more believable. But that's just me. Um, when he's about to lose the fight, Annie's about to die, get her head stopped in. He asks the parasite to help, but I guess the parasite does this thing where it's like slowly taking over his body because he gives him the silent treatment, doesn't respond even when he's about to die. Um, but he believes in Ryan towards the end of the episode when Ryan starts to stand up for himself. He calls him like a that's an effing beauty. Um, And he's like, that's why I have faith in the kid because he is more like his mother than Homelander. Thank God. I do like having Ryan in this series because I think he does add a layer of complexity to Homelander and Butcher. It's not so open and shut. It's like you have to kill Homelander, but you also have to save Ryan. And then we have to juggle those two together. It's really it's really hard to prioritize your goals in a sense because now he's like, okay, how can I do this and also accomplish this? You can see him having problems with this in the last episode with Becca. Because at this point, I feel like Becca's you're kind of asking for too much, but at the same time, not really. Because if you kill Homelander, you're just gonna make Ryan become a new Homelander out of revenge. Yeah, and Ryan doesn't dislike his father that much enough to want to see him dead. So anyway, we have to go back to the Deep. Now, the Deep had a lot of characterization in this episode, as much as you can get the Deep. Honestly, for the name such as the Deep, he has like a lot of shallowness. He doesn't really. He's about the most shallow character you can get on the boys, but his name is the Deep. He tries to ditch Ambrosia for Sage. He's trying to balance two chicks at one time, or a chick and an octopus at one time. He gets in a fight with her, where she's like basically I think Ambrosia was more mature than the Deep in this. A lot more mature. I think the Deep is in a lot of denial. I think he craves affection just like Homelander, but he does it in a way where it's like very. Homelander is also pathetic, but I think the Deep goes for it in a way where it's very shallow, very I don't know why. And I think this is maybe because Sage got so far in your head to the point where you're just dumb enough to believe anything. You don't have any actual morals or standing. You don't actually think for yourself. You really are a person that just says, oh, okay, you gave me a compliment. Let me just run with it. That's what a Deep is to me. Because you don't ever question anything that Sage has done, even though she's the most mentally superior person on the planet as a soup, way more superior than you. Um, she doesn't have any actual intimacy with you outside of the lobotomy, which we realize she lobotomized herself just so she could be dumb enough to have sex with him. She didn't lobotomize herself out of like recreational activity or as a way, or so just so I can manipulate the Deep because I do see you as somewhat useful, more like a toy that I can use for my amusement. But yeah, I think we're gonna see that backfire on either Sage in the next episode, or maybe the D would just get killed off at this point. He kills Ambrosia, of course. Then he runs away like a little scared boy while she suffocates because you shatter her fish tank or whatever. You could have just put her in a big fish tank, but he probably doesn't want to deal with the embarrassment and the guilt of betraying Ambrosia. And I don't know, just lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of trauma. You can't really justify anything in the show. It's all trauma. He tries to go after Starlight and Butcher Noir. Wait, no. He tries to go after Starlight and Butcher with Noir. Um, as a way of like maybe blowing off some steam. Or yeah, probably like a way of blowing off some steam after what just happened. He almost wins, but he gets beat with A Train beats him up basically. Realize that A Train's the mole. What can you do? At this point, you basically lost the fight. Starlight beats the crap out of the Deep and puts one of those metal weights, smashes it over his head, and he's knocked out cold. And then he realized realize by the end of the episode, while he's like sore and bruised, he's saying "bro, bro" to like Noir or whatever. Sage passes him, and through the dialogue, through Noir's reaction, he realizes that Sage has been sleeping with both of them. Except Noir doesn't need to be. She doesn't need to lobotomize herself to sleep with Noir. She just needs to lobotomize herself to sleep with you. And I think the reason why she slept with both of them is because, well, actually, is because Sage saw you as a booty call, but Noir probably saw her as someone he fell in love with. So she sensed that and tries to wean herself off of Noir by going to the deep, just cycling through them back and forth. I don't know how they didn't talk about it, but makes sense because everyone refuses to speak to Noir. So besides the deep at this point. All right, now Sage. Okay, now Sage is the most interesting character by far. Even according to the polls, everyone liked Sage a lot more than liked any other character or Kimiko. Um, or was it? No, I think everyone liked Kamiko more than like Sage. I think Kamiko and Sage are like neck and neck for different reasons. I feel like if I have too much of Sage in a scene, I might get sick of her. I'm not sure. Kimiko has a lot more charisma and understanding and emotional intelligence than Sage does. But in this episode, she's a lot more secretive, and she's getting sick of Firecracker's BS because she understands that she's sucking up to Homelander, and Homelander's buying it as the man-child he is. She runs her mouth a little too much as she's trying to express her anger a little bit more, but she's pushing boundaries, and she's kind of like getting closer and closer to getting her head blasted through. Um, Revealed that A-Train would be in the mole was part of her plan all along. I think the reason why she didn't tell Homelander was because she was afraid that Homelander was going to kill A-Train out front. She still needed to use him. She learned earlier in the season that Homelander is very impulsive. He doesn't go according to plan. He's very flip-floppy. He changes his mind too much. He's a terrible leader. He has the brain of a man-child. Basically, he goes with whatever he's feeling in the moment. He's a very unpredictable entity. I can't control this person. As smart as I am, I can't predict what he's going to do based on his emotions. He probably would have killed him. So that's why she kept it a secret, even though if it compromised her position with Homelander, which she's surprised of because Homelander, like I said, he was probably telling the truth when she said, "I'll listen to you." But he changes his mind so freaking fast, so much, and so impulsively to the point where this surprised even Sage. Um, and she feels betrayed by him at this point because this alludes to episode 6 when they were at the benefit or whatever. She was talking to Newman saying that the guys who were supposed to treat her cancer, she gave them the cure to the cancer, and they laughed at her. They didn't listen to her, and she died in pain. And I think this triggered something in Sage. I think the way that she stood up for herself, even after he fired her and said, "You better be lucky I'm not putting you in a bucket." But she says, "Okay, you can surround yourself with people like her all you want, and systematically you can beat anyone who opposes you. But there's one person that you'll never be able to beat. Good luck." And with that being said, I think she meant that Homelander can't be Homelander. Homelander is his own worst enemy. He will always get in his way. That's why everything he'll do will fail. This alludes to season 2 with Edgar saying basically the same thing. That okay, you won. You are now CEO of Vought. Um, was it season? No, I think it was season 3. Season 3 is when he said that. I think. Like, yeah, you're the new CEO. You have won. You've taken me down, but now there's no one else to cover you. And you being yourself will eventually, as self-destructive as you are, will make everything collapse around you, destroy everything that I had built. What a shame. Yada yada yada. Basically, essentially saying that Homelander is his own worst enemy, and everything he'll do will basically fail because he's so used to everyone doing everything else for him. Even at the benefit, Newman had to stand up for him and cover his ass when he couldn't articulate his plan for world domination or whatever, how to get presidency. I don't even know what their goal is at this point. I keep confusing Newman's goal for Homelander's goal, and they're kind of different. But basically, he was trying to get the GDP on his side. He couldn't without Sage because Sage got shot, and Newman had to stand up for him, kind of emasculating him in front of everyone else, hurting his ego along the way. I feel like with episode 5 where he not episode 5 episode 4 when he does go back home to his roots and he tries to like dismantle himself or separate himself from his humanity, he fails immensely at that because you can run away from your humanity all you want, you can never escape it. Like Bot made sure to instill that in you so that you will never really deter from them completely. Even though you might still deter from them a little bit, you will always be Jonathan. That's why he, like, even in the episode, he's like, I prefer to be called Homelander because I think he saw it as a way of like being reborn as a different person. You can't run away from yourself. You just can't, no matter how hard you try. And he refuses to improve. He refuses to learn from his mistakes. So you're always going to be in this perpetual cycle of destroying everything around you until you're just going to say F it and let's just burn the whole world down. Whatever. More about Homelander. It's so hard to talk about this character separately without talking about Homelander. Just because he's like intertwined within each and every one of the characters, except for Starlight at this point. Hasn't really interacted with her as much at all in this season. But anyway, that's all for Sage. So Homelander, I'm just gonna briefly talk about him because I basically said everything I wanted to say about him. So he kills Web Weaver because he thinks he's the mole, even though he's a junkie that's looking for his next fix, and he's gonna say anything he has to say to go back home and shoot up whatever he needs to shoot up. But he cries over A Train, which I think is interesting because it's like that's how your reality works. You really think everyone's your freaking friend, even though you bully the crap out of them and threaten them with an inch of their life. Even though you have the power to kill them whenever you want. Same thing goes for when he what's he do? In the beginning of the season, he asks the Deep to blow A Train, and he says, "I'm surrounded by sycophants and idiots." No, it's not that they're sycophants, it's that you can kill them, they're afraid of you. You have flaunted and flexed your power so much to the point where everyone in the building is scared of you. I don't understand what you're not getting. Where you like you want to be superior to everyone, but then you want to be everyone's equal at the same time, and it's like, um, that's not how it works. You're gonna have to pick a side at some point. You're gonna have to gonna have to pick a side at some point, dude. But anyway, that's enough over Homelander because he's pretty open and shut case. But next is Kamiko. Kamiko tells Frenchie why she doesn't speak, opens up about her backstory and how I guess the Shining Light or gang or whatever basically kidnap kids, force them to fight each other, but they had to fight in silence because I guess they're like I forgot what they were. They're not like a gang per se. They're kind of like a little bit more organized than a gang, kind of like KGB or something like that. But basically, they said like, yeah, we move in the shadows. You have to fight in silence and kill in silence. So they forced them to kill in silence, and then after she killed the first girl, she was allowed to speak, but she couldn't, and that's when the trauma comes from. Is your first kill, and what the factors surrounding that were. Then she makes up with Frenchie after a while of like they talk it out and talk about their problems. He opens up to her, she opens up to him, and they agree to like let Sanji go after he makes the cure. Um, and she was like, Homelander's not gonna like that. And he was like, Frenchie was like, well, it must be the right thing to do. Unfortunately, after they get done making the virus, Sanji injects her with the virus, and then it spreads really quickly. Um, to the point where Frenchie has to cut off her leg in order to save Kimiko's life. I thought that was going to be Kimiko's death scene. I'm so glad she didn't die this episode. That would have been so terrible if that's how she dies. It regrows though, like a little baby leg in like the next two scenes or so. Then yeah, Frenchie doesn't really do much. I think he's kind of like a plot device in this season about facing your past and moving on and separating yourself from the worst things you've done. Um, yeah, I think Frenchie's a total device in this season. I don't really like him in this season. They don't really do that much with Frenchie. I kind of already forgot his arc before he went to jail. It was nice not to have him in the show for an episode. But anyway, overall, I'll give this episode a 7 out of 10. I think Deep's gonna die next episode. I think Starlight's gonna get her powers back. Firecracker probably will die. Hope she does. Um, Ashley, hope she survives. I don't know why I have Tech Knight in the thumbnail because he's already dead. Um, A Train, hopefully he survives. I think he's gonna come back when the boys are gonna, they're getting their butt beat. I think he's gonna come back, and I hope Maeve comes back somehow. I hope she like helps a little bit or is involved in some way, shape, or form. Maybe help Sage a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't know those two even get along, but I hope Sage. I hope she does plan. hope her plans do come to fruition next episode, so we know what she was planning this entire time. Um, peace out, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.